What we have to do, and it's a very difficult uphill job, Nikki. What you have to do is begin to change the basis on which people think. For example, you have to begin to shift the basis of the language, because the way people speak is also the way they think.
Yeah.
And I haven't got to point out to you because you know. The English spoken by black Americans is not the English spoken by white Americans.
Yeah, that's true.
No. And so that's given. And we have to use it and do something with it which has not been done before. You know?
Mm-hmm.
We are in great trouble, but we have the great advantage of knowing we're in great trouble. You know, we're in trouble man to woman, man to man. We're in trouble, you know, father to son, mother to daughter. But we know we are. If I can liberate my great nephew, if black people can liberate themselves, and since we're talking about a commercial endeavor too, by the way, you know, because the great crisis is we have no land and no money.
Well, that's,
you know? But that's all right.
That resides in power.
Yeah, we'll get.
Because you find out you cannot purchase anything you can't take.
We'll get the power.
You know what I mean?
We'll get the power.
You must.
No, we'll get
and
the power.
And the power is not the land or the money.
I know
the power
that.
is the ability to effect.
But now you are agreeing with me.
Oh, of course. You're wise, man.
What?
You're a wise man, why wouldn't I?
Oh, wow.
No, and one of the strengths of the Afro-American, certainly the last 20, 30 years, is that we have recognized we are not Americans. On one hand. On the other hand, we are the only true inheritors of the place called America.
That's right. It belongs to us.
Because we are still outside of it.
It belongs to us, and there's nobody can do anything about that.
And we will get it. If we continue to move. I think it's a guilt.
In ways that one can't quite see yet. We already have it. It's one of the reasons for the panic.
We have to effect it.
Yes.
But we have to know it, and we have to make sure that everybody else...
We have to change it.
Sure. It's like the South lost the Civil War, but they didn't know it, which is why they continued. Because someone finally said, you know you lost. And, oh, did we? You know what I mean? They continued to act as if they had won.
Well, they still haven't lost it, because that war was a kind of...
Yeah.
The results of that war are being paid for until today.
And will be paid for.
When we marched in Montgomery, Governor Wallace had the Confederate flag flying from the Capitol building.
Yes.
Which is legally insurrection. But nobody said a word about it. Because, in fact, the South and North simply concluded a contract between them to keep you and me in slavery.
Yeah.
That's all that really happened. So the textile mills in Massachusetts got rich, and the cotton fields got rich. Where the textiles come from, except Mississippi.
But see, so many institutions, to me, are not but so many institutions, like, it just doesn't make that much difference that Shirley Chisholm is in Congress or Richard Brooke is in the...
Well, it's what I mean when I say, you know, the white and black are really very arbitrary categories which cannot be trusted.
Well, certain things have certain color designations.
Well, the fact that Ed Brooke is a senator from Massachusetts, or we have some black mayors, since it doesn't change the machine, it doesn't change the parties which they allegedly represent, doesn't mean anything. I'm saying you can't tell a black man by the color of his skin.
Or maybe you can't tell, maybe my quarrel is very subtle, but maybe I'm saying you can't tell a white man by the color of his.
Either.
Yeah.
Either. In that case,
yeah,
there's a great deal of hope.
If you could get a black mayor to come in and change, which I think Carl Stokes did, change the police department, change the way that the city goes about its services, then you could have something. But if he's not going to change it, first of all, the militia, which becomes the police department, if he's not willing to make those kind of changes, or if he's not willing to, let's say, take on the McCarran Act, then he's just not doing black people any...
Or the country.
Well,
no.
It's one and the same.
No, it's one. In my mind, it's one and the same.
It's one and the same. Because, well, that's true.
I'm not trying to. I'm not being a missionary trying to save America. But I do know that we have paid too much for it to be able to abandon it.
We can never abandon it. I don't think that that's a question, because where else are we going to go? I mean, nobody else wants us.
Well, in any case, my father and my father's fathers paid too much for it.
I've paid too much for it. I'm only 28.
Yes.
I deserve it, you know, to do whatever I want to do with it. Thomas deserves it, you know, whatever that means. I just think that, like, how we go about it and what we're, well, I'm just not interested in many things that people are interested in. I'm not interested in a president or a Congress. I wouldn't care Puerto Rican, you know what I mean? I wouldn't care. I just don't give a damn. because it's still somebody trying to run my life. I'm not interested in movements and ideologies, because I think that I would have a difficult time, no matter
You would
who
have a
was
terrible
running.
time.
Yeah, I mean, personally,
I would too.
it wouldn't change one bit for me, except maybe I would even have to go in exile, and I can live there now.
Yeah, but you see, it's a tightrope. That's a tightrope that we're on. Again, to come back to the whole question of of labels, white and black. I'm terrified of cultural commissars, on either side of the line.
Yeah.
You
The older you get, the more frightening it becomes.
terrifying because I'm much too old to be told how to write,
Yeah.
or what to write about.
But that's a stupid. My theory is that the world divides into sort of like intelligent and weak and strong, which is awful. I mean, it's really awful of me to say things like that. But there's so many stupid people.
It divides not so much between the stupid and the bright, because most bright people that I've encountered, not most perhaps, but many, are wicked. I really think it, really wicked.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
But I think it divides between the people who have a certain kind of daring and the people who don't. And the daring is involved with the price you're prepared to pay for your life. For your life.
Okay.
Because then you may have been born stupid, but if you're willing to live, take your chances on living, you become very bright.
Yeah. But then in my world, that
see what I
becomes a
mean?
bright person.
Yes, of course.
Because it's not based on IQ.
No.
That's just, that's like a very weak position people get into when they start. Well, in the States, we have a thing. I don't know how familiar you are with it, but we're going through a whole thing. There is no such thing as an individual, which of course is
That's
killing
not
the
true.
movement. No, it's not only not true; it's stupid. It's killing the movement. And when you see the dum-dums perpetuating that, you don't want to be like them. So the very bright people are saying, okay, you all can have. And I hate to watch it happen because it's destroying what was almost at one point a nation.
It's not. Be cool. Be cool. This won't. I'm not trying. I don't mean be tranquil.
Yeah.
But let it go. Don't worry. What you have to do is concentrate on what is essential,
I think that's essential.
and not be sidetracked by very disturbing details. After all, you know and I know that the individual does exist.
Not only does, but should.
In any case, whether or not he should, he does.
I'm concerned about it, I guess, particularly because there's so many young kids who want to believe. And for me, when I look at like the energy, I teach school. And when I look at my various classes, the few times that I'm there, and I see those hopeful little faces, and I know that they are just as eager to become, fascists as anything else, that they don't really, what they want is to believe. Then I begin to feel an obligation to say, okay, try believing in yourself.
Yes, but my dear, that's all we've been talking about.
Yes.
You call it power and I call it, you call it power, I call it morals, or you say I do.
No, okay.
But it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing. What one is trying to do is to teach those children something which they will need much, much later, because they can become fascist very easily. Especially if they really believe, that all the legends which are now being fed, that black is beautiful. Black is beautiful. But since it's beautiful, you haven't got to say so.
Or
it's
since
very
it's beautiful,
important.
the ego is the most important thing about exemplifying that beauty.
Because it's a very dangerous slogan. I mean, I happen to, I'm very glad that it came along, because it had to come along. But, I don't love all black people, really, I know some deacons and preachers and congressmen and judges and teachers and lawyers, black, but not like me, it's, you're trying to tell the child something which transcends all those categories. So he won't become what you see all around you every day.
One tries.
You know.
But that has to be dealt with because they're constantly being fed that their ego is to be supplemented to what is constantly called the energy, which makes no sense to me. Because why should somebody who doesn't even know you run your life? You know, why should I run some kid's life? And I feel, eminently equipped. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if I could be, I feel like, wow, I would be the best person. But why should I do that? Why can't you do it? You can make your own mistakes.
Yeah, but you have to give the kid the morale which will allow him to do it.
One tries.
You know.
Because I really see so many games being run by uncreative, stupid people.
Look,
And it's very disgusting.
Most
I'm
people-
sure that you all saw it.
No, yes.
But Jesus
Nikki, most people really accept without very much question the assumptions that they're given.
But they must, I mean, it's illogical.
When I was growing up, the great trick was getting the civil service and work for the post office. Now I can't blame those people.
I don't blame them.
It made them very unattractive people from my point of view, but what else was a black cat to do?
Create something.
You can't create anything unless you have been given, however you get it, I don't know, been given the belief or the rage or the madness or whatever, the necessity out of yourself to do it. Look, read a book by Richard Wright. The late Richard Wright wrote a book called Lord Today, which I meant to get for you today. It's about the post office. Well, it's not about the post office. It takes place in the post office.
Right.
Great. It's a tremendous, tremendous book. It's one day in the life of one black man. And no black cat can read that and not know, because it's true. It's true. It's a fantastic record, You see, the nature of the drama, in a sense, is that you and I both have to raise a child, but if I've been destroyed before I get home, you go one way, I go another, and the kid gets lost. And it isn't the fault of the woman or the man, and certainly not the fault of the kid.
It's not a question of blame, though. It's a question of responsibility.
Yeah, but
and it is our responsibility to make sure that kid does not go.
But what I'm trying to get at, Nikki, is that in order to take the responsibility, you have to be able to take the responsibility. It's not a mystical act. Somebody's got to pay the rent. I can't put you on the streets.
That's what you say. We have tried to make you able to pay your rent, or my rent, or our rent. We have found that there are not enough jobs, there is not enough money for you to do that. Now, why can't we try it my way? I think that the only thing that's changed in the last, since Martin Luther King, since 54, I think the only thing that's really changed is the black woman. And what she
No, I
said
don't think
is
she's changed. I think she's become more visible.
I think she's changed. Because there was a time, let's say my mother, my aunts and things like that, they would say, okay, if that's the way you establish your manhood, I'm going to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And my generation says, hey, no good.
Okay.
You must establish a new base.
I'll agree with that.
And we are, as a group, demanding that a new base be established.
Yeah, but be careful as a woman of what you demand of a man.
I demand that he be a man.
But you can't
because
say,
the provision part.
Yeah, but you can't say you demand it. You have to suggest it.
Well, that's your ego that says that. No, I demand it. Now you deal with that.
All right. Okay. I'll even go with that.
I demand that you be a man, and I don't think that that's asking too much. Because if I wanted a provision, instead I would get a camper. You know what I mean? I would get a camper that provides things. You know what I mean? You get an army surplus kit that provides things. I need a man. And black men have always been offered to provisions. People are either going to eat or starve to death. The men of the people were starving, and they were still the men. Had to be that way through that horrendous kind of war, but it had to be that way because sometimes you are not able to feed your family. Sometimes you are not able to clothe your family. Do you then also deprive them of your manhood and of the input that a man has? Who teaches my son how to pee?
Yeah, but
you see?
Yeah, but you're talking. I agree with you. I see that very well. But it's one thing to be in a situation where you see that you have, where you see a future, however bloody, and to be in a situation where you see no future at all.
But you are. It is incumbent.
If I know,
it is incumbent that we see a future.
If I know what I'm demanding of you, in some sense, makes sense. If I know the fact the kid is not eating today or tonight or tomorrow, in some way makes sense. Yeah, then I can be there. But if it doesn't make any sense, and if I don't see anything coming out of it at all,
will he eat if you're not there?
If you're on welfare, he won't eat if I am there. That's the law. But I don't want to get bogged down into that. What I really mean is that yes, a man can do that if he sees a way, if he sees that it means something. My father couldn't see that, and he was quite right because he didn't. Well, there wasn't anything.
There's something because all I know that works in the world is a relationship.
Yes, all right.
Okay, that's all that's going to work. It takes two people to have a relationship.
Yeah, but the
If you
relationship.
don't have a dream, fake it.
But the relation, you can't fake a dream.
You got to fake it because we don't have dreams these days. How the hell can you have a dream? For what?
Well, it isn't.
So everybody's jiving, but let's jive on that level.
If I love you, I can't lie to you.
Of course you can lie to me, and you will. If you love me and you're going off with Maddie someplace, you're lying to me. Because what the hell do I care about the truth? I care if you're there. What Billie Holiday say, hush now, don't explain.
All right, I accept that.
Of course.
All
Of
right,
course
I
you lie to
accept
me, because
that.
I don't even want to care. What does the truth matter? And why are you going to be truthful with me when you lie to everybody else? You lied when you smiled at that cracker down the job, right? Lie to me, smile. Treat me the same way you would treat him.
I can't treat you
You
the way I
must.
treat him.
You must. Because I've caught the frowns and the anger. He's happy with you. Of course he doesn't know you're unhappy. You grin at him all day long. You come home and I catch hell. Because I love you, I get least of you. I get the very minimum. And I'm saying, fake it with me. Is that too much of the black woman to ask of the black man? For 10 years, so that we can get a child on his feet that says, yeah, father smiled at mother. He talked to me about school today. Who cares that you can read or can't read? Most Americans can't read. Most people can't read. They look at the pictures.
Baby, I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying, and I don't disagree. But no, I'm going to be honest and think about it really. I'm not so sure that that is a human possibility. If I have to smile all day, and the cat on the job, the foreman, you don't understand why I'm smiling.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I want to smile. I'm smiling because that baby needs new shoes. I can't give a performance all day on the job and come home and give a performance all night in the house.
Okay, so one of the performances will stop.
Yes. So you say, and okay, I might be willing to go with it, but who's going to pay the rent?
You're back to that. The rent will get paid.